For those logged in, we are going to start shortly. At 3 p.m., we will start our session. Thanks for joining in. We will wait for more people to come in and we'll start in a minute's time. Thanks for those who logged in. And please mute your mic if you are not speaking, because it could disturb others from listening. And we hope you enjoy the session today. Can you hear my voice clearly? Since someone is saying my voice is breaking up.
Yes, very clear.
Okay, thank you. I hope everybody have a good time staying at home. Myself, lost 3 kg, which is a good news.
I think most of the people put on weight instead of losing weight.
Losing weight is a good thing.
You're working very hard at home.
So we have so far already 35 logged in, and let's wait a couple of minutes more because the event is supposed to start at 3. And Dr. Michael is already in with us, if I'm not mistaken. He must be busy on other things. To test the voice because we have Facebook Live as well. You can also visit our Facebook, SME Malaysia Facebook site. And now I was told that my voice is a bit soft, so I go nearer to my notebook. When I go nearer, I look more ugly because I didn't have my hair cut. For a month, so no haircut. Not like Muhu is still very neat, you know. I have not cut. My hair is still very long now, so look messy. So go further, we look better. Voice not so good.
Mr. Chin, I have less hair, so that's why.
Now you're a young man. So I hope everybody will enjoy this event, this session, and then try to ask as much questions as you can. You know, it's very hard to get MDEC person like Dato' Wamping and Muhu, and as well as to get Dato' Michael's time is so difficult. He has almost every day got 3-4 sessions. And you have any questions, please key in to the message box and send to us. We will compile it. Even you can put some comment too, you know. You don't have to only give a question, you can give a comment. And also suggestion as well. I hope all of you can contribute together. And as from SME Malaysia, we also would like you all to sign up as our member. You can go to the website, sign up as a website member. Nothing costs you. Just put your email down. And from there, we would like to have your feedback on some survey pertaining to government policy, pertaining to what hit us during this COVID-19 period. Also, we would like to know your feedback, any suggestions you may have. Can be anything, economy-wise, on digital transformation, even on any other issue that you may want to bring up. Of course, we will wish that you can join us as a ordinary member. Even individual, we accept. As SME Malaysia, we accept individual membership. We are now have 13 branches nationwide, and we are already a federation, as Association of Federation of close to 10,000 membership now. We hope to increase that number. By working with MDEC, we are very happy to have them on board today. And I think I will start the session in 2 minutes time.
Okay.
Voice sound good. And FB, hear clearly, Jacko? All right?
Okay.
So far, I can hear you very clear, Mr. Chin. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
But you can ask.
It is actually regarding our definition for SME, because in fact we are a subsidiary of ACE market listed company. We have actually registered our company with SME Corp, and we also receive a membership number. But we have been told that although we have a membership number, but because we are a subsidiary of a ACE market listed company, so we are not qualified or entitled for the subsidy or incentive or a grant that provided by SME Corp. So may I know, is it so? Because we are just listed in ACE market, not main market. We are still, our size is still like SME size.
The definition of SME depends on the number of, you got two sectors, there's the manufacturing and service sector. So if you're under service sector, there is a amount that sets, number of people, and I think it's 20 million and below. You are below that, you are classified as SME.
We are in manufacturing industry.
Manufacturing is 50 million turnover. If you're less than that, you're okay, you're classified as SME.
Okay. 50 lah, 50 million.
50 million. Also number of staff.
Number of staff, I think less than 200 if not mistaken.
You are classified as SME. maybe what you have facing is SME Corp may not, their policy maybe is not allowing ACE company or listed company to get grant from them. So that is separate, not from the destination side. Destination side, you're still SME. So for instance, your subsidy, you can claim the WFG, the work, the wages subsidy from the government for this round as well.
Yeah, I know about that. Yeah,
okay.
Because the one.
Sorry, we
Okay,
take
no problem.
offline. Don't mind, because 3 o'clock already. Thank you for the question. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is C.F. Chin. I'm the National Vice President of SME Malaysia, and welcome to this session today with MDEC. Before I start, I would like to inform you that our Datuk Wan Peng has Jaya for 2 o'clock meeting, and she is still in the meeting and she can't join us at the moment, but she promised to join us right immediately after he finished the important meeting in Putrajaya. But nevertheless, we have our Michael Kang, our National President of SME Association. He's here with us. And we also have Mr. Muhu. We introduce Muhu to you. Muhu is from MDEC. He is the Director of Business Digital Adoption Division. He leads a team that looking into policy initiative to support traditional business, especially the SME, and towards moving digital transformation. So he's an important person here, and he will be replacing temporarily Datuk Wan Peng to do a part, to introduce whatever MDEC initiative they have, as well as what can digital transformation do for you before Datuk Wan Peng come in. But he will join us throughout the session. Any questions, he will be welcome to answer you as well. Datuk Michael is there ready to answer any questions you may raise. Not necessarily towards digitization, but we wish you could ask more about the digital transformation, what incentive they have from the government, what can government help us, especially MDEC. And we really thank him to spend his time here. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Muhu to start his session with us by his presentation first. I think you have some slides to show, and I pass the mic to Mr. Muhu. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chin. Very good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Good. Just show me a thumbs up. That means I know you can hear me. Good, thank you. So I hope everyone is in a good health. Hope that you are keeping healthy as well as keeping safe with the current situation. And allow me to thank SME Association as well for the opportunity to give some thoughts as well as some of things that have been done by MDEC. And hopefully we can have a good discussion as well after this. So my presentation is not so much. I think the engagement discussion with you is something that I really look forward to. And I will show you some of the things, perhaps share with you some of the things that's being done at the moment towards digitalization, yeah? So, well, I just want to start with a simple quote by Winston Churchill. I think it's quite apt at the moment when we look at the situation we are in. Difficulties mastered, opportunities won. Many different discussions are out there. And I think when it comes to the current situation, businesses are heavily impacted. And what are the things that as businesses, what can we do, as well as what are the things available out there when it comes to digital adoption? And I think that's the conversations that we want to have today. Yeah, so just before I start, a quick intro on MDEC, just in case if you're not familiar with this organization. So Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, basically it's a government agency. We sit under the Ministry of Multimedia and Communication. And our role primarily, or our mandate rather, is actually to drive the digital economy. Yeah. So we provide advisory to the government, but we also work very closely with the with industry, especially the associations, to see how we can engage and support the industry. We do this by 3 different pillars. If you can see, they're very straightforward. One is in terms of how can we upskill Malaysians so that we become more digitally savvy. The other one is how do we power businesses? We have 2 sides, the technology SMEs companies, such as the startups and the big ones, as well as the traditional companies, which is the one that I'm working on, to support to see how we can move you up the value chain. The third one is also in terms of digital investment. So we work with a lot of agencies as well as huge multinationals to bring in a different kind of investment so that we can create the right ecosystem when it comes to digital technology. Yeah? So let me get into the crux of the matter. You are very familiar with this. A lot of discussion is going on about this now. We understand that the SMEs particularly are heavily impacted. Yeah? These are some of the results. And the key things that comes out that I've been hearing, again, this is some of my own information as well, is that in terms of sales, how this has depleted, cash flow discussions going on, as well as how are we engaging customers? Not just future, for now is even our current customers. With MCO in place, how do we actually engage? So ultimately, if you look at it, this all falls under quite a bit in terms of how can SMEs continue operating in the current situation. And if you move on with that, a little bit more statistics, probably you would have read this from recommend.my. This was done at the early part of the MCO. I think it's still relevant. And perhaps, I think if it's a study done now, probably you'll see even a higher bar when it comes to some of the things that are being impacted, just even beyond cash flow and sales. Yeah. And so what are SMEs doing? I think you have your stories to share. Would love to hear it. As well as I think there are some probably would need some assistance. So again, you probably would have seen this as well. They say as an opportunity, in crisis, one could also take it as an opportunity. Of course, there are many different ways of looking at this. You can peel the onion until you find the layer that you think is very relevant to you. And the question now is, how do you maximize? So, but what's happening across now when we look at the current situation? The box on the right is just something I picked up. We know customer behaviors are changing. You probably are aware of it now. More and more people are now going online. Even those people, my parents, for example, who have never gone on Lazada or never gone on Grab, now are trying it out because they see the need for it. So now if they're comfortable and if they think this makes their life easier, I think more and more people will consider going online in terms of their procurement, transaction, and the other one is the social norm is changing. Even after MCO, it doesn't end there. Maybe for the next 6 months to 1 year, people will still look at how they can work remotely, and as well as how they can carry on education in a much more in a digital way. And again, social distancing will still be there. Even after 6 months, people will still have concerns in terms of who they are engaging, who they are talking to, and face-to-face meeting will still probably not be full on. And therefore, some of the things we're seeing today, I don't think it will stop just after MCO COVID-19. You will see some of these changes that's happening. I shared with you about the consumption of our people, not just from the consumers, but also even from the vendors, for example. So a lot of the companies today, the multinationals have moved on looking at digital platforms to see how they can work with their vendors, because only those vendors who are ready to communicate with them on a digital platform will be the one who probably will have the advantage in terms of working and securing some of these deals. From a media perspective as well, we see a lot of webinars like today, for example. This has become the channel now moving forward. And you see many organizations, businesses are engaging their clients, their potential customers using such media. So as an SME, some of these media are already available for you. And the question now is, how do you leverage and find the right ones that you could take advantage of? Now, from an MDEC standpoint, when you look at digital, there's a lot of discussion out there whether there's enough support on digital, how can we go digital? But if you look at from a digital standpoint, for the last couple of years, MDEC and many other government agencies have been pushing digital. I think even SME Association, we've worked very closely with them. We almost launched a massive engagement session with all of you just before MCO. And you can see that not everything is new here. Many things have already been put in place. So this is what I want to bring forward to you. Perhaps you're aware or perhaps you're not. If you're aware, my call to action to you is consider this immediately. Look at what you can do. If you're not aware, explore this, find out a bit more, speak to your people in your organization to see how you can leverage. A simple way that we look, again, this is not a one-all and be-all. This is just a simple way of looking at an SME digital journey. There are basically 5 things that you can consider. The first thing is, are you or do you have any digital presence? You start off with having a simple digital presence. You may have something, for example, on Facebook or Instagram, or you may have your own website. That's a good thing. And now the question is, how do you leverage on this to engage your customers? The other part is, if you have this transaction, makes a lot of sense. Now there are also available services where you can go on specific marketplaces, for example, like Lazada and many others, to see how you can now put your products and services online. If you're able to do this, then perhaps you will see some benefit on digital already. And I think that's good enough. And that's where you can now garner the support of your people. I think the most important part, I always speak to a lot of SME CEOs or owners. They say, Mohu, I'm ready, but I don't know whether my people are ready. That's a big conversation. And if you can show your people that there are already some benefit from digital, then the third, fourth, and fifth part will make a lot of sense. How can you now look at digital operation, right? Using HR payroll, for example, or digital payment. How can we then look at the back end, which are a little bit more bigger in capacity? You may not need it now, but you have to consider. And if you do all this, then all these big jargons that you always hear, big data, AI, and all these things will make a lot of sense to you, because then you will know how to integrate those things into your whole business processes. And again, if you look at from our perspective, through some of the activities, again, what I'm sharing here with you today is just a fraction of what MDEC does. There are a lot more things that we do on the digital space, but with the time frame that we have, and perhaps for our discussion, we take on some of these key things here. One is, if you're looking at how to educate yourself or how to learn more and understand what digital is all about, there are different programs such as the 100 Go Digital. This information you can find on our website. Roadshows is being carried on. Some of these things are now on webinar, on using tools, for example, digital tools. That's one. A lot of awareness sessions that we're planning, such as today, the one today with SME Association. We also put forward a lot of activities on the media that you can catch, where simple programs are being put in place. The other part, when you come to a little bit more seriousness, then you can look at a specific program. We have a program called Digital Transformation Accelerator Program. The program basically gives you an opportunity to understand what are the pain points in the digital space. How is it relevant to you? And then how can you prioritize? What is it that you need to start first? You may have 10 things that you want to do in digital. And if you speak to your IT people, they probably say everything is important if you have an IT person. So how do you prioritize? Which is the one that is has the biggest need, and especially your business needs? So this program helps you with that. We will also be launching a few more programs soon, working with our partners, such as the banks and the telcos. From a incentive standpoint, a lot of things have been done. Incentives are embedded into the program. The program are most likely free for you, or even if there's investment, the investment goes into your company per se, and not to pay for the program. But at the same time, there are certain incentives out there. The SME Business Digitalization Grant, which was announced in the budget 2020. I will go through a little bit more on that. And also for bigger companies, you have the, this is actually a loan, a subsidized loan from Bank Pembangunan. Focuses purely on industry digitalization. Yeah, so if you're a manufacturer, for example, this probably would make a lot of sense to you, because you have a lot of hardware investment that you may want to do. So let me move to the next slide. Okay, so a little bit about this SME Business Digitalization Grant. So this grant basically is to support SMEs to kickstart your digital journey. Yeah, so that's a key things to take note. It is to kickstart. It is led by Bank Simpanan Nasional, supported by MDEC and SME Bank. MDEC, basically, we do two things. We provide advisory in terms of what are the digital areas that should be looked into. Second, more importantly, is that we provide the digital solution providers, all the tech companies that we work with. We basically curate and find out which are the ones that are relevant to support you. So this grant is ongoing at the moment. You basically, to qualify, basically you need to be a Malaysian SME, meaning to say 60% Malaysian owned, and you are registered with SSM or any other body equivalent to this. Those are the main two criteria. The other one is, of course, if you are less than a year old as a company, then there's a requirement that you have at least a sales revenue of 100,000 ringgit. If you're more than a year, then that goes down to about just 50,000. And no other specific qualification that's required. As long as you meet this, you can go to BSN or MDEC's website. Go in. What you need to do is, once you go in, go to the BSN's website. You will see a list of solution providers. Pick the ones that you think is relevant. Have a discussion with them, and after that, there'll be a form that you need to fill up with BSN together with. Can you hear me? Okay, so let me continue. So what will happen is that once you get a quote from the solution provider, it gives you an approval. What you need to do is basically, it is a 5,000 ringgit matching grant, yeah? So meaning to say, you pay half of the cost of the project. So assuming if the project is 4,000 ringgit, it means you pay 2,000. So maximum of 10,000 that the government will give you 50% of it. Yeah? So once you have done it, what you need to do is just then kick off the project. You're required to put in your component first. Let's say it's 4,000 ringgit, you put in 2,000 first. And as soon as the project ends, which is not a long-term project, it's an all simple project to kickstart, we see you should be able to do it within 3 to 6 months or even less than that. And then the other balance of it is actually paid to the solution provider. So as an SME, it takes away all the headache of you trying to find out who you need to work with, one. Second is in terms of ensuring the project is done, because it's also tracked by MDEC in terms of their the milestones. And third is that you don't have to worry about the payment to the solution provider. You only pay the first half, the rest is taken care by BSN. So I do encourage everyone to look at this. The 5 areas are listed down here: digital marketing, POS, HR payroll, procurement, ERP, accounting, and tax. Yeah. So this is something you can already start to kick off. And I spoke to my BSN colleagues now. During the MCO period as well, you could basically do an online submission as well. Because prior to this, there was a requirement that you need to go to the bank as part of the bank's requirement, yeah, as the KYC requirement, they call it. So this is something I really like all of you to consider. Again, there are also other things that MDEC does. There's also a portal called Go E-commerce. This is for SMEs who are seriously looking into going online, as in going into the e-commerce platform. So this is a good tool for you to learn. Find out what are the opportunities there. They have simple tools as well, such as bookkeeping tools that you can use once you register as a member. They have profiling tools. What are the things you need to go online? And also other e-learning tools. A lot of good stuff where you can learn and also figure out how you can start on e-commerce. The URL is down there. You can go in and just register yourself. From the COVID situation, what MDEC did was actually we launched a campaign, or now we call it a movement called COVID, Digital versus COVID. And this is where we went out there and did a call to all our partners, people from tech, banks, multinationals, and asked them to come forward with us on this movement to help the industry. So if you go to this link, you will see a whole list of organizations who have come forward to provide either free solutions for a certain period of time, or it's heavily discounted solutions that you can find within this digital space that's available. So this is also something that you can go in. This was launched a couple of weeks ago. I think we've got about 400 more companies are coming on board to provide services. Even telcos are there to give you some good services as well as offers down there. Do take advantage of this. Now, so this was like a big list that we had. What we did was we also looked at what are the ones that are probably relevant to the SMEs. So we started curating this list, and we came up with this, what we call a quick win. We had a good discussion with many associations such as SME Association, and the association also feels that this is a good start, especially in the current situation, in terms of where do you think you can start and what are the tools that you want to explore. So these are digital tools or solutions, and they are very SME relevant. And also the other focus is that they should be easily deployable. Yeah. And for example, remote working. You probably already started downloading Zoom, Skype, Teams, and some of the solutions. I think these are some of the things that you can look at. what are the other tools available? Maybe even from the Malaysian perspective, yeah, Malaysian solution providers. Digital marketing, again, how do you engage your customers? We had a good session yesterday with one of the associations looking at how can you use Facebook and Instagram in a bit more technical way. Perhaps on a high level we know, but also there are more things that you can go in deeper to figure out how do you beat your competitor, for example, or even figure out what is the best cost to you for your products and services. So digital marketing helps you there, engaging your customer at current present. E-commerce, I spoke to you about it just now. How can you now put your stuff online? Digital payment, again, now a lot of thought around this is that these are very hardware centric. I have to buy hardwares and all, but if you look at it, many things have been made very simple by the solution providers. Today, with a simple smartphone, you can already transact. You can already have a POS, a simple POS, and this POS, the point of sales, are also connected to all the e-wallets. So rather than you putting in one or two e-wallets, you can now have a system where you can combine all the e-wallets and use that when you transact with your customers. HR and payroll, recently we heard that we had to go back, many SMEs had to go back to their business office just to ensure that payroll is up and running. And again, today there are simple services which are cloud-based, for example, a simple subscription, which is very cost-effective. You can actually have at least half of the work done, via online, so that there's less pressure on your HR personnel. You can even employ simple, what we call them bots, yeah, robots, which can do simple invoicing work for you, or even consolidating all your, accounting documentation. These are things that's available, and I think you can seriously explore. So the mindset is that go cloud, and if you go cloud, it's much easier. It's much easier to deploy. Second is that from a cost standpoint, it becomes much more effective as well. So this is we call it the SME quick wins. If you're a member of the SME association, you probably would have gotten a WhatsApp call or maybe an email out to you in terms of how can you be part of this. So as I mentioned just now, this is a curated list. Idea is that it made simple to you. And once you go into this link down there, there'll be some simple questions asking you to register what are the interests you have. And then immediately after that, my team will be able to connect you with the right solution providers. And we'll give you two types. One will be the ones giving free, and the other one will be the one heavily discounted. Have a discussion with your team. If you're looking at HR, probably your HR team would want to understand this, and then you can communicate directly with them and look at what are the packages that's available out there. Yeah, so very simple process. I think we just launched it recently. We already got about a few hundred now coming on board. I think more and more of the SMEs should make full use of this. This is something very specific that's done for the current situation. Yeah, the ones I spoke about earlier are already all the digital solutions or initiative programs that's already up for all the SMEs to make full use of. So I think I'm going to end my presentation here. Again, like I said, there are many other things that MDEC is doing at present. We will, have that discussion perhaps in other sessions as well. And so with that, I'd like to thank you again.
Thank you, Muhu. Thanks for your very detailed presentation. And all of you, please click on the link, on the quick link. I think that is a good gauge on how much you need, what you need for your organization on digital transformation that MDEC can bring that to you. It's important that what MDEC is doing now, not only getting your solution right, also trying to get you the best fit and best cost solution that can help you. Right, Mo? I think that should be what you are thinking of getting, because now at this juncture of time, everybody has no money, especially the SME. I don't know how many will still be around after the COVID-19 period, the MCO, right? I think worldwide are facing the same issue we are facing. I hope that MDEC can bring forward more our voices to the ministry, especially KKMM, and to express our real concern, especially on the transformation effort that we require from MDEC. Right, so next, we can have a few words from Dr. Michael. Dr. Michael Kang, can I have a few words with you? Welcome our Question member here? Online.
Tak ada suara ni.
Okay, never mind. Michael probably is not coming in yet. Fine. Can we go, Jacob? Can we start having some Q&A from now?
Maksimum dah. Faham.
Please mute your phone.
Siapa? Benda.
Jacob, can we start the question and answer session? Do you have any questions for Muhu?
Okay, so far we only have one question. Anthony Ng. So, to Mr. Muhu, for ERP, which vendor will you recommend?
Okay. I wouldn't be able to go in and say there's one or two. There are many different vendors out there that will be able to support you in this. So at MDEC standpoint, we are unbiased. We support all the different solutions out there. So what we do is actually, if you register yourself, you can actually look at the list that we have curated. Those lists are basically the ones we are working, and the ones we actually come forward to say, look, we are relevant to SME and we want to support.
Okay, so any question from the floor?
I must first apologize that I think our link has some issue. I don't know why. Maybe the earlier blasting of our email put out the link that couldn't log in. Many people now asking me how to log in, and they have bad line to log in. So I'm sorry for that. But I believe more and more joining in. And the new link have been published in our new Facebook, our Facebook site. So you can look at the link that is in proper to hook it up. So we can open the discussion on the floor, and anybody can just raise your hand. You want to speak, and we can just go on the mic.
So I have a question I saw from Miguel. He runs a virtual assistant, so he wants to know how he can register digital versus COVID. You can go to our website. Basically, you can just drop an email to our client contact center. It's click clic@mdec.com.my, and you can request to register. Yeah, all you need to do is you got to provide what are you contributing, yeah, to the industry.
Okay, Mr. Muhu, here is a question from Michael Wu. Okay. How is the startup affected, and what is the help provided by MDEC?
Okay, I take it when you say startup, you're referring to the tech startups, or you're referring to these much smaller SMEs. So I think there's two ways to looking at it. I think SME in general is what we're discussing today, regardless whether you're a small SME or micro or small or medium. If you're a new organization, of course, there's also a lot of challenges for you as a startup. Perhaps you will be in a phase where you're figuring out your business model. So I think that's the biggest challenge a lot of startups have. From a tech startup, a lot of work MDEC is doing. We've got actually multiple sessions, programs, a specific team that looks into the startups. We're also looking at what are the key impacts that probably are there. But I think from a digital standpoint, the opportunity is much bigger now for them because I think at present, digital is the way to go. So there's not much issues in them. But for the SMEs, I think that's the biggest discussion today. And I personally feel that there's a lot of opportunities in terms of digital. You can start exploring and putting in. Don't look at digital as something big investment. Digital can start with something really small, with a small investment. What is more important, it's actually, are you able, willing, and committed? Able meaning to say, are you able to understand where your priorities are? Willing is in, are you willing to put in time, maybe a little bit of investment? Yeah, this is not expenditure, rather investment for you to move forward. And committed is basically that you are willing to do it now, and not something that you're waiting for someone to start first and then see whether if they do it, then I'll do it. or you hope that there'll be more support coming in for you, only then you want to kickstart?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Muhu. Okay, next question. Okay, this is from question from Follow Up Beauty Center. Okay. Hi, Mr. Muhu. My industry is doing traditional service. How they can enjoy this facility?
Yeah, so I think traditional businesses are the one that we want to work with, right? So when you say traditional, it means that perhaps you have not fully leveraged on digital. Whether you're a saloon, you're an F&B industry, whether you're a manufacturer, or whether you are in the agriculture industry, digital cuts across. Digital is no longer what we call vertical. It means it doesn't just support one or two areas. That's the difference between, if you don't mind me sharing, difference between IT and digital. So a lot of people, when they talk to you, maybe vendors, when they talk to you, they talk about IT. So IT is basically technology that helps you to enable your business, right? That's basically it. But digital is a new way of doing business, or a different way of doing business. Digital always includes business model as well. So if you're a beauty salon, for example, you have engaged your customers perhaps from a marketing perspective, for example. Maybe your current method is very very traditional. Probably you have used the different medias. Now look at your digital media. Maybe your digital media for now, you've just used it as a word of mouth, just maybe through friends in Facebook or some communities. But there's a lot more that you can do on this social media. So as a beauty salon, how can you reach out to a bigger market, right? Or how can you now look at a different model? Maybe you can even have a virtual assistant, right? Where you can basically support your customers even before they come and see you. What are the kind of cuts? What are the kind of styles that you want? Just an example. So many different ways. It cuts across, doesn't matter which industry you're in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Muhu. Okay, next question. If I run an academy for special needs children, how can MDEC help?
Okay, so I think that's a very important, very good question. Many different ways. If you want to go online, just get into our system, the links that I've given you. We also have e-learning or talent development team at MDEC. You can always reach out to me. I'll put you my email address. And then, there could be some areas that we want to look at, especially for OKUs, for example, and also those special people, yeah.
Okay, next question. Okay, we are a MSC status company. Who should we contact to apply for the business digitalization grant?
Okay. If you're an MSC company, I take it that you're a tech company. So MSC companies are companies predominantly offering technology services. This is not for you. This is open for traditional businesses.
Okay. Okay. Any question from the floor? Okay. Next question. If we are already in the progress of implementing the ERP and cloud-based accounting system, can we still apply for the business digitalization grant?
Yes, it depends on what you want to do, right? If that is something you have started, maybe you want to look at other digitalization areas that can support you.
Okay. So, any question from the participant here?
Got a question for you, Muhu. The grant, now we have only one-to-one with maximum up to 10,000. That means for the SME, we probably pay to 5,000. Get grant. Is there any possibility that the government can review this number? Because I think it's quite small to a certain extent, especially because I remember the grant was set way before the MCO, way before we are hit. So I think the amount wouldn't be enough right now. So I hope that you can take it up with the ministry or whatever to increase the number.
Yes, we take note of that, Mr. Suggestion. There's some conversation going on, but I think even when we build the costing, so every company can go up to 3 actually within that amount, yeah. 3 different solutions. And yes, granted, I think cost is quite an important thing to consider. But also at the same time, we are encouraging SMEs to go cloud. Yeah? And by going cloud, the model changes quite a bit. The cost is also quite effective. We did a calculation even for a HR payroll system. If you're going on cloud, it won't cost you much, less than what you need to pay for the total 10,000. Yeah? So we take note of that. I think there's ongoing conversation now with PSN and MOF.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Muhu. Okay, we have 2 questions from Facebook. Okay, first question, what about building maintenance industry? How to go online? Where is still require manpower to be there physically?
Yeah, I think there are several industries, even manufacturing, mining, construction, quite heavily dependent on physical locations, such as raw material. I had a good session with FMM, and FMM was actually one of the participants in a recent session. And when we shared some of these things there, it was a very interesting view that they have as well. They said, yes, certain things you may not be able to do. So digital cannot solve all your problems, yeah? It can't. But digital gives you an opportunity to leverage on, to think differently. So for example, what some of the manufacturers did was, they said, look, yeah, maybe I may not be able to manufacture, but I need to work with my people. I need to look at different models. So they went on remote communication. They reviewed some of the things that they had to look at. They relooked at their marketing approach. They relooked at how their vendor communication and procurement system or procurement process being done. And they say, look, these are some of the peripheral things that you can use digital to basically cut short the way you're doing now. What I'm saying is, you can't, maybe certain things you can't, but there are certain things like your process, your people, you can definitely look at digital. And what that does basically 2 things. One is it cuts the cost, which is very, very important when you're looking at your cash flow challenges now. Second is that you've got a different way of doing things now, right? In future crisis, not just this kind of pandemic, even any type of crisis within the organization or in your industry, you have a different way of working and looking at this. So this is what I'll say. It can't solve all your problems.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Muhu. Okay, another question. How the digitalization can help in automotive industry, especially for the car selling?
Yeah, good question. So, look at digitalization from 2 aspects. One is the immediate benefit, right? In terms of, can it improve your productivity, right? If you're doing certain things now, which takes you 3 days with digital, can you do it half of that, right? That's one way. Second is look at how do you work with your people. That also involves in productivity, the labor productivity. Second is you might be dependent on foreign labors, for example. Again, digitalization can help you to relook at that. You be dependent on that. The third one, which is slightly more advanced, is actually, which I said just now, is how do you create new business model? So from digital, how can digital help you to look at selling differently, for example, or communicating, working with your customers or your vendors differently? So this is how I would frame digitalization. The benefits are in many things. For example, now I think what's more crucial is how do you engage your customers? How do you communicate with them? You are cut off with your customers. You are unable to service them at present. Can digital help you? I think in some instances it can. So look at it from this perspective, then you will be able to list down all the benefits of digital, right? Whether it's productivity from cost saving or labor productivity, customer engagements, or even looking at your own people engagement.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. How can MDEC help in manufacturing factory to IR 4.0?
Okay, so perhaps if you're a member of the FMM, Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, you probably would have heard of a program called DATUK, Digital Transformation Acceleration Program. So the program is actually, it was launched a couple of years ago together with VIDA, and we work very closely with FMM and the other associations linked to them when we deploy this program where manufacturers can come on board and go through a series of activities which also there's a fund allocated to that as well. So do check out FMM, or you can just Google DATUK and you'll be able to find more information, or you can always connect with me again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. How soon can we know grant application result?
Okay. So actually there's it's pretty quick. I would say there's it's very simple process. So how the SME digitalization grant is done, very quick, very simple, because there's no long process. There's no committee that's going to sit down and review your application, because the technology solution providers are all identified. So basically you just need to choose them and talk to them. They have also been briefed on the process. They can also help you to fill up some of the documents. You will be submitting it directly to the bank. Once the bank look at it, they have a criteria set, because they know what the solution provider can do. So there's no evaluation on the solution. Evaluation is just whether you meet the main 3 criteria, right? Malaysian, 60%, and you have a sales turnover. If that's immediately, then they will release it. So we've already gotten quite a number of SMEs being approved. So far, we have no issue. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Is robotic process automation technology gonna be included in the digitalization program?
Yes, as part of the DTAC program, it is already there, which is open to the SMEs, particularly the manufacturing and related services. RPA will also be soon, I think, with some of the areas that we're looking at to include in the digitalization grant. For now, we just started with the first 5 because we want to see the traction. We want to see these are the, we call it the low-hanging fruits, yeah, for SMEs to come on board. And if they pick this up, which I'm sure they will now, and then now later we'll look at expanding. We're also looking at areas such as cybersecurity, which is a very important component as you go on digital and cloud and other areas as well. Yeah.
Okay, next. Is there any revenue limit to be qualified in this program?
If you're referring to the SME business digitalization grant, basically they look at your sales turnover of 100,000 ringgit. So that's not that big actually. The idea is that they want to see the SMEs who are able to commit. If you are 2 years and above in establishment, they're only looking at 50,000 for 1 year. Yeah.
Understand. Okay, next. These are from Mr. Chua Ching Han. Okay, I have just shortlisted in ERP vendor, but they told me they are not registered vendor for this grant. Can I still apply for the grant?
Yes, of course you can. For that vendor, they need to contact MDEC and apply. Yeah. If you want to use the same vendor, otherwise you can look at all the other vendors available.
Okay. Next one. Does MDEC has a division looking at additive manufacturing?
Not at the moment, no. I think additive manufacturing and all the other areas, I would say more advanced technology. So we do have a team that looks into big data, AI. Specifically, I think because we think data is really crucial now when everything you do is under the underlying component is data. AI is something that's being picked up as well, because when you start accumulating data, there are a lot of work that you can look at in terms of predictive, but not specifically on additive. Additive, I think MIDA with the agency, because it's very what you call industry specific. MIDA, I believe, has got some initiatives and support and grant as well.
Okay, thank you. Next, we are a startup company empowering innovation and creative based on the art of focusing the mind. We use meditation as a tool. Are we included in the program?
Well, I'm not sure which program you're referring to, but you sound like more of a tech provider. So the grant, if you are coming into the other programs like our Awareness Hunter Go Digital and all that, yeah, we are most welcome. You can be part of it. But if you're referring to the grant as a tech provider, you would not be applicable to apply for this. Yeah, perhaps there are many other different grants provided by the government for technology solution providers.
Okay, thank you. Next, we are working with a few SME for RPA. When can RPA be included in this program?
Well, like I explained just now, I think give us a bit of time. We just this program was just launched in February, the SME digitalization grant. We're now looking at how many SMEs are picking up. I think that's really crucial. And our target, we didn't expect MCO. I mean, we didn't expect COVID to happen. But nevertheless, I think we're looking at perhaps by this year, maybe in the third quarter or the fourth quarter, for us to be able to include more digitalization areas.
Okay, there are two questions from Facebook. Okay, first one, our company are in the midst of developing CRM system. Are there any cost relief or subsidy from the government or MDEC?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of government because I think there are many different agencies looking at different things, supporting companies or building digital solutions. Yeah. But from an MDEC perspective, I think a lot of work, you can always come to us, be part of our community. We have a team, for example, we have a team that looks into how we can support all the high growth tech companies, yeah, be it startups or large companies. And this is, I think, something that you can be part of. Just drop an email to Click, as I've mentioned, or to me, and I'll be able to connect you with the right people.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Any suggestion on service-based business, for example, hair salon, can do during this MCO period? Since they can't physically open their shop, what MDEC view on this?
Well, I think I just shared just now on a saloon experience, example. I think it's pretty much the same. Yeah, I think primarily in terms of how can you continue engaging your customer, that's really crucial. I mean, I myself, I think was just having a chat with Mr. CS Chin just now. We are suffering, right? I mean, okay, I don't have much up here to cut, but still, I think I'm looking at when can this MCO period, cease, and then for me, the first thing probably I want to do is go and have a haircut, if that is safe. But again, I think it's in terms of how are you trying to engage your customers at the moment. That is something I think from a digital standpoint, you can seriously look at.
Okay, next question. The participant here. Okay. Is there any initiative from MDEC to support the digital transformation consultant?
To support the digital transformation consultant, I think we need their help to support us to getting to helping all the different SMEs. Well, we do have a list of consultants that we work with. If you have any ideas, we are more than open to listen to see what you can offer.
Okay, next one. Who can we give out this service to be a part of COVID givers?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay. Who can we give out this service to be a part of COVID-19 givers?
I think if you're referring to the COVID digital versus COVID campaign, the movement, just drop us an email to our client contact center and let us know what is it that you can offer. So we're looking at technology solutions or anything that you can support the SMEs from a digital standpoint. And what we require from you is basically tell us what can you offer. Like some organizations, they give a 3 months service, right? This is the full stack of their solutions. They give them 3 months free, and after that, perhaps some discounted price. Some organizations give a heavily discounted price. Perhaps there are certain costs that they are just unable to absorb, and therefore, but they give you a very discounted price. So if you have something like this, just drop us a note. We will engage you.
Okay, next question. So looking at this angle from the travel and tours perspective, I am in the midst of buying a T&T company. So of course, to cost saving, I agree to going digital will definitely improve the business as a whole. This project, Smart Tourism, is something that I can look at potential collaboration by using this grant.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with the Smart Tourism project. So I think you would need to communicate with the right ministry. So I'm assuming this is under the Tourism Ministry. If there is a project, of course, I think they'll be the first people that you must engage. But again, when it comes to digitalization, you can also have a chat with us. I think tourism is, of course, one of the badly hit industry at the moment, but also there are many of them who have figured out different ways to survive using digital. So I think this is probably an advice I would give you.
Okay, thank you. Next question, how does MDEC qualify the vendors?
Okay, for the SME digitalization grant, there's a specific criteria. If you go to our website, you'll be able to see it. Main criteria is basically that you have a good track record, that you have serviced SMEs, for example, especially, and that as well that you're a Malaysian-based solution provider. Even if it's Malaysian-based, you could still offer products and services which are not from Malaysia. There's no control over that, but of course, the one that's preferred would be the one that which actually produced in Malaysia by Malaysian companies. So these are some of the things. For the solution providers, the last cutoff period or the first batch, I would say, concluded at 31st of March. So we will be opening up one soon. Just have a look out in our website to see when we open for the next round. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Next question. The grant can be applied by BSN client.
Yes, yes. I mean, even better if you're a BSN client.
Okay. Okay. So, any question from the floor?
We will ask you to clarify a bit. Grant is maximum to 10K, right? If let's say I want to apply for 3 services utilizing fully from 3 vendors, is it possible?
Yes, the grant is 10,000, 5,000 per company. So it's limited to that amount, but you can go all the way up to 3 solutions that you can employ, right? Either you do it immediately or in consecutive.
And on the travel and industry, just now somebody was asking it, there are many travel apps by the Malaysian company as well. They come and approach you to seek your advice and assistance on how to move forward. I believe now they are leading and need the support on whatever way they can.
Yes. Sorry, CS, was that a question to me?
Yeah, there was a question to you. On the travel apps, those leisure apps accepted by Malaysian, because now the COVID-19 causes running out of business, especially on the digitization as well. What are MDEC going to do about this company? Are they helping them differently?
Well, I think there are different kind of approach we are looking at as well. For example, from a what do you call this? The gig economy, right? The sharing economy, especially. So I think there's quite a bit of work we're doing as well to see how we can put all this in the different platforms. So that could be as a single app. Perhaps you could only offer several services, but actually, if you put yourself in a platform, there's a lot more things you can do. It's a matter of how this app is being put out there, and as well as the target audience, the services they're looking at. But again, nothing stopping them from evolving. I think, especially for tech companies, this is the right time for you to reevaluate your business model and to see how you can be more effective in engaging your customers.
Okay, thank you. Okay, here's a question from Facebook. Is virtual exhibition platform fall under this grant?
No, it doesn't actually. Not at the moment.
Okay, noted. Okay. Any other question? Yes, any other question from the floor, from the participant today?
There is a question from someone that when they log into MyBSN to do some application, they couldn't even access the website. Would that be possible that MDEC will look into that problem for them?
Yes, sure. I mean, you're saying the website is not accessible now?
especially for BSN side?
Okay, we'll check on it immediately. In fact, just this morning I was there working on some of the things. Yeah, definitely. I think BSN is trying their best now to ensure that, from a digital standpoint, that they can service companies now. As you know, under the Bank Negara regulation, there are certain things that they need to look into when it comes to the KYC component. But as far as the grant is concerned, they've relaxed. As a company, as an SME applying, you don't have to open a bank account with them anymore, which was one of the requirements earlier. They relaxed that, so you can technically just submit your application with them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. My vendor is charging me to integrate my ERP to Lazada. Can I apply this?
Okay, you have to look at the vendor. Yeah. So the grant is basically number one is has to come from the list of vendors you're working with. Second is the grant is for you to start buying or procuring new applications or new solutions. It is not for you to upgrade or integrate. Yeah. But again, there could be some case to case there that need to be considered. So the best is to talk to the solution provider, and they'll be able to confirm that with the SM.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any question from the floor? You may unmute your mic when you want to ask a question. Okay.
Have another more? So,
okay, here's a question.
To ask anything, because Datuk Michael KANG is also online with us. If any question about other than incentive or whatever, he's there to assist us to answer. Even on the wages subsidy or anything else you want to ask him, he's there.
Okay, here's a question to Mr. Mohu. How does MDEC can help or support augmented reality or virtual reality tech platform?
Okay, yeah, we've got a team called Creative Content, Digital Creative Content Team, which does a lot of work on AR, VR, especially developing or helping local companies develop content. Do get in touch with me, and I will get you connected with them. Perhaps it's something that you can work or offer.
Okay, thank you. Another question. To double clarify, is it MSC stated company is not qualified for the grant?
For SME digitalization, yes, you don't qualify.
MSC status not qualified.
Yeah, you don't qualify. We don't look at it from an MSC status or not. But if you're a technology company, then this grant is not for you, because this grant is for traditional businesses who are trying to embrace digital, trying to get on board digital. So I think that distinction must be clear. If you're a tech company, or if you are a company providing tech services, technology services, then you don't qualify at all for this SME business digitalization grant.
Noted. Okay. Any question? Okay, here's a question here. How to get connected and how to get help, especially I just registered in May 2019.
What did you register in? I need a bit more clarification on this. Are you referring to the grant?
Yeah, I think so.
How do I get connected and how to get especially registered? I'm reading that question as well. Not very clear to me. If you're referring to the quick win link, that was just launched recently. So probably when you say you registered in May, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. If you can just
I think register in May is they register with SSM for the business in May 2019.
Right. Okay. Then I think it's too early for you if you just establish yourself. Like I said, you need to show a sales turnover of at least 100,000 a year.
Okay. So how about the AR and VR? Any link to the content?
Yes, my team just put in the link just now. Click at mdec.com.my, attention to me. Then you'll be able to just state your point and then I'll get you connected.
Okay, noted. Okay, here is two questions from Facebook. Is MDEC doing things on 3D printing?
Not at the moment.
Okay, another question. We are a trading company. If we want to adopt into digital, who can we approach?
Can you repeat that, please?
Sorry?
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay. We are a trading company. If we want to adopt into digital, who or any channel that we can approach?
I mean, I would suggest for you to go to the link that I shared just now, the quick win link. I think that'd be a good start. Also look out for, once you put in the quick link, we already have your database. And in our next program that we have, for example, the 100 Go Digital program, we will send you an invite. These programs are good for you to figure out what digital can do for you. We will also share some of the digitalization areas that we spoke about just now. We have solution providers who will share with you more information on that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. If the vendor that I am going to use to help me on digitalization, they are a startup, no track record, can I still apply for the grant?
Okay, so there's specific criteria for the technology solution providers. So I think back to the same question just now, how do we validate, how do we get the criteria? I think we look at it from an SME standpoint. We have to understand that SMEs need hand-holding. Yeah? Unlike bigger companies, probably they don't need much hand-holding when it comes to digitalization. But for SMEs, they need proper hand-holding from end to end, from the beginning to the end. So the solution providers, number one, must have sufficient track record. It's very important because the point here is that we want to make sure things are easier for the SMEs. They go through a simpler experience of digitalization. So when we look at the solution providers, we will look at their track record. Very important for us, whether they have done this before or at least to a certain extent. Second is in terms of their capabilities as well. Who's there and what are the key people behind it. There are some startups who are actually already in the list as well, if you look at it. So there's no specific, just because if you're a startup, you can't be part of the CSP. You can. You need to adhere to the criteria that we have. One of the key criteria we put in, it's actually that you need to have a minimum of 100 customers. Now that could be a bit of a challenge for startups, but again, some startups have achieved it. For example, if your service is on a cloud basis, so if you have customers or subscribers, those are things we consider as well. So it is possible.
Okay. Okay, here is a question to Datuk Michael. Okay. If we apply wages subsidy, can the employer still negotiate with employees on the pay cut or pay leave during this MCO period for both below 4,000 ringgit and above 4,000 ringgit?
4,000 ringgit and below, no. 4,000 and above, yes.
Okay.
Okay. 4,000 below, no. 4,000 above, yes.
Okay. So any question from the floor to Mr. Mohu and also Datuk Michael KANG and also our CHEE?
Mohu has been speaking very well until questions also don't come out anymore.
But again, I know time is limited. Yes, as you mentioned just now, we can always also please continue with the questions. We can answer much later as well if that's compiled.
Okay, here's a question to Mr. Mohu. My company is in a headhunting business. We have started to develop a recruitment tool in preparation to onboard. So, can they entitle for the grant?
So I would say, okay, great. So this is part of your engagement with your potential customers. Go back and look at the 5 digitization areas that you want to look at. Is this part of your marketing, or could it be any other area? I think that we need to work with you to clarify that part. Yeah. So you have to go back to the 5 areas that is put in there as your guide.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Does MDEC have similar type of grant or program for business who are just starting out and who do not have any established paper track record and financial workflow?
Okay, so if you're a tech startup, I think there's a lot of support by government, not just for MDEC. You can also go to Magic, which is another agency that actually has got multiple programs and other support for you. So Magic will probably be suitable for you if you're just starting off, where they have a lot of different kind of incentives and programs to support you to move up. We work with startups as well, but we look at startups from a perspective of what is the next growth for them. So a lot of program done by my colleagues in MDEC focuses on how can we help them to grow their market, for example, or how can we make them champions of digital. So these are some of the things that we look at.
Okay, next question. What are your suggestions and recommendations for these new businesses and startups who may have a sound business idea but may not have the required operating capital to start?
Yeah, there's many different ways that you can look at it from a startup standpoint. I think number one is you have to build a certain runway, we call it. Meaning to say, yes, you have a great idea. Now you have to figure out how do you validate that idea. Once you validated the idea, there are business model canvas or design thinking modules that you can just get yourself involved in, where you help to refine in terms of how do you approach your customer. Right? Today's businesses, especially in technology side, has changed. It's not about having the entire stack or solution, rather to look at it from an iterative model. So basically, we need to build that first and then move on from there. So from a funding perspective, there are many agencies like Cradle and others who are out there in Malaysia who will be able to actually support you, yeah, from idea stage moving up. So if we have Cradle, we have Magic, some of these organizations can support you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this question is to Dato' Michael Kang. Okay, under the the wages subsidy program, do the employers still need to pay for the EPF for the to the employees?
EPF, this round additional budget that did not mention. I think budget really mentioned a similar package too. All the difficulty to pay EPF, please go and meet up with the EPF officer and negotiate whether to defer or review the payment. I think the one individually had to talk to EPF.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. Okay, next question to Mr. Muhu. My company is a cloud disaster recovery service provider. How can I get myself listed in MDEC to offer my services?
Contact our client contact center. Click at MDEC.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. For a multi-level marketing company, what we call MLM, that's selling lifestyle and wellness product, can the company apply for the business digitalization grant?
As long as you fall under the criteria, you're a Malaysian company, 60% Malaysian owned, registered in Malaysia, as I mentioned, SSM or any other body. For example, if you're Sabah, Sarawak, probably you'll be registered with the local municipal council. You can actually apply. Even if you're a accounts agency, for example, accounting agencies, providing professional solutions, professional services, you can also apply.
Okay, thank you. So any other question to our Mr. Muhu and also our
Question for Muhu.
Yes.
A lot of SME we have now are MyKRIS SME, and we don't have a good website, do not have a good representation of ourselves over the internet. This vendor side where you are approving, we have such a vendor register with you to provide such services in the grant. So that's a very basic thing they need.
Yes, I think if you're talking about the micro entrepreneurs, they basically cover the biggest size of all the entrepreneurs, the the SMEs. I'm sure you know that out of 7,000 SMEs, I think close to 600, 700 of them actually fall under this space. And from a digitalization standpoint, as you rightly put it, what they need basically is more of visibility in the digital space. So going digital marketing, actually one of the key things that they look at, how can they leverage on social media, for example, right? Because they're selling small, simple things. How can they basically transact or be visible in the digital space? So for this, we have programs called e-Usahawan. E-Usahawan targets the micro entrepreneurs. Under e-Usahawan, there are many different programs to support the micro entrepreneurs in terms of what I mentioned just now. Under that, you can just Google e-Usahawan. There's a lot of information you can also log in there. And part and parcel of it is also now, we have helped close to, I think, more than 300,000 micro entrepreneurs in the country through this e-Usahawan program. Very good program, a very good start. The things that I mentioned just now are a little bit more for the small and medium. I wouldn't say it's not relevant for the micro entrepreneurs. But for micro entrepreneurs, maybe some of the digitalization areas are not what they want to look at the moment. For them, it's very much from the digital marketing as well as transaction side. So do check out on the e-Usahawan program. We'll be able to share the link as well. My colleague can just put it up in this WhatsApp. In the chat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for the next question, if the solution provider or vendor charging model is on subscription based, for example, monthly subscription fees, how does MDEC provide the grant in this case?
So basically, the grant is for you for 1 year. Yeah. So any subscription fee that's being charged would be covered within the 1 year span of you going on the digital. So although your project may be for a certain period of time, but it's blocked for 1 year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mohu. Okay, so do we have any question on the floor, from the floor? Okay, so if we don't have any question to Mr. Mohu and our Dato' Michael Kang, so we may end the session right now. And thank you for your participation. And we see you on our next SME Malaysia webinar.
Okay, thank you everyone. But first, on behalf of SME Malaysia, we would like to thank Mohu. And we're very sorry to hear that Dr. Wan Peng were not able to join us. We hope future event we can get her. I know everybody is busy now, trying to help and trying to bring out good things for everyone. And really thank you, Mohu. Very clear. And then I must say that you do very well. And we are very much understanding on what MDEC can help and can do for us. And very kind of you to put out your contact there for everyone to contact you. And on SME Malaysia side, we also like to thank our National President, Michael Kang, for being here as well. And I think he's busy whole day answering a lot of questions. So for digital question, I will leave it to MDEC to answer for most of them for us. Anyway, we're going to have a series other event together with MDEC. Maybe this time will be more on putting up some solutions, specifically for SME to understand more, in particular to all the vendors that have been approved. And we will talk more about that over the next few days, right? And okay, thank you everybody.
If I may just say something, I think on behalf of MDEC, I would like to thank Dr. Michael, CHEE, SME Association for the opportunity. We do look forward to work with you much closer, as well as to all the attendees. Thank you for being so patient, listening to us, and also hope that we have answered you adequately. If not, please come back to us. We would love to engage you more. With the time that we have, I think this is what we can do. My final sort of advice, if it's possible, is actually look at digital from a step-by-step process. Digital is supposed to make things faster, better, and cheaper for you. So from that view, then you'll see digital in a different way. And start small, right? Start small. You think big. You start small, you scale fast. Thank you.
Okay, thank you SME Malaysia, thank you Mr. Muhu from MDEC, and thank you MyKRIS for the session. Thank you and see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, MyKRIS.
Thank you, everyone.